is executive search professional who has been in this business for over 20 years and has worked for a number of companies, including his own MJS Executive Search, which you then merged with HI Executive Consulting, otherwise known as HIEC. You just really are all over those tough searches. And not only the tough ones, but the ones that are really leading edge. We love to place people in these roles that have never existed before. And so the old playbook of where else have you done this doesn't apply. The topic is leadership in the context of business reimagination in 2021 and beyond. What does high impact leadership mean today? What does it look like? And how does a leader who wants to be perceived that way set themselves up?
The rate of change has really increased expectations to deliver much faster results. And many companies have struggled to keep up with the surging demand. And the companies that are able to keep up are the ones that are going to win, today and beyond. So leaders really need to think about, what changes they need to implement to keep up with this demand. How do we assure that our people and our teammates can stay balanced during this accelerated growth? And, how do you set expectations for realistic speed moving forward? Two, there are so many new skills and areas of learning that leaders need to have, but we also need to upscale our people as well. So the more organizations can capitalize on the latest technologies, the better off they're going to be. So what do we need to do as an organization that we can't currently do right now that's going to make us more effective? What new topics do I need to understand as a leader to capitalize on these new technologies that are affecting my business? And then how do we refresh our knowledge and skills on an ongoing basis? This is not static. This is constantly changing and moving every single day.
If somebody is stepping into one of these crazy high impact roles at a very senior level, like you work with at the C-suite, what are some examples of what you might need to produce in that 90 days or create or express to be considered as a success in that high impact space?
One, it always comes down to process. Do you have the process and efficiency to be able to tackle this? Two, the number of people that are needed. Are there things that could be automated through AI and machine learning? Or do you need volumes of people that are going to be able to support this? Look at Amazon, for example, and how fast they're growing from a distribution standpoint. And then three, can you even get the skill sets necessary to be able to tackle what you're trying to accomplish? Because very often there is a massive talent shortage in the areas that you're most interested in growing. So can you train people fast enough to be able to meet that surging demand?
So what are organizations doing to attract and recruit and retain really, really great talent?
Compensation is the biggest problem when competing against the FANG companies, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google. Stock is, been so valuable over the last few years that we've seen candidates take lesser jobs that might not be as challenging to them with the hope that they're going to earn significantly more money based on the stock performance, where a few years back, we would see people who were significant leaders in specialized positions take AI and machine learning, for example. They would be all about the challenge and the impact. How can I impact an organization? The pay still needed to be competitive, but we all of a sudden were finding people that in our eyes would be considerably more junior. And when I say junior, it might be a VP/SVP level, with $1 million buyout programs just to get them on board. So it's important to educate yourself on the market and what long-term comp plans look like at some of these competitive companies. We tend to take people from non-traditional businesses and place them, or non-competitive businesses, and place them in other organizations. So I do a lot of work in large financial services companies, and they are all looking for people from Google and Facebook Amazon. And to be able to attract those people, they have to have those deep pockets, but they're prepared with both short-term and long-term programs in order to make that happen. If you're not aware of how these companies pay, you're not going to get the talent you need to be successful.
Say you want to be one of those candidates, most important experiences that I should have had in my portfolio to even be considered.
We look for a mix of skills. The days of square peg, square hole, I mean, there are obviously roles like that out there, but in the case of the highest impact roles, we're looking for that mix of skills. And that's both the hard skills. Perhaps they started in a hands-on role, moved into a leadership position, but most importantly, they need to be able to show that they made a real impact within the organization. The other thing is diversity of experience. If they've worked in multiple companies doing a variety of different tasks around the specific skill set, or have experiences from, again, different industries, that's also helpful to give them a broader perspective, because no two situations are exactly alike, especially in today's world with folks dealing with highly complex, large and very large data sets. That complexity is super, super important. I would say now more than ever, leaders need to have a very high level of adaptability, way more than ever before. How do you keep your team inspired and productive? So today employee engagement is so key to keeping an organization really tight together, motivated, inspired, talking about what's happening in the business. Everything from mental health, physical health, healthy eating, virtual activities, or in-person activities. We've started in our company getting more involved in some in-person activities. This new normal has changed the world for everybody. Second of all, the freedom to work where we want has saved people, over close to an hour a day of time they can be more productive. So the problem is even though we're working at home, do we have the tools to stay visible in this virtual world and collaborate across teams, whether it's using Zoom, Teams, Slack, whatever it may be? But it's crazy how, people can just disappear and isolate working from home, even though, not having a commute for us is nice.
What is something that leaders can do today to improve retention with respect to the Great Resignation movement?
Leaders need to be ahead of this situation before the resignation happens. So keeping on the pulse, checking in with the employees regularly, making sure that there's pulse surveys and things that can be addressed either directly or anonymously, whichever they feel most comfortable with. And then lastly, constantly examining the compensation landscape and making sure that there's parity, not only with gender and race, but also these tech companies are paying. I mean, it's absolutely staggering.
Do those pulse surveys, find out what's on people's minds, and then get help when you need to address the issues that arise. I can't tell you how many leaders I have helped in exactly that way. We often will address the problems initially with the leader, then I often work with the leadership team to address some of what needs to change in terms of behaviors, actions, habits, and so forth in process as well. Matt, thank you so much for making the time. You are such a busy person. I know you just traveled for 6 days and landed, and here you are. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I enjoyed it.